There is a number that does not sit comfortably with anyone at St Andrews right now. Birmingham City win more matches when Phil Neumann is on the pitch, yet he has not featured in a league game since 10 February. That is not a dip in form, it is a complete absence. And for a fan base that watched him anchor the defence in the first half of the season, frustration has grown into something sharper. This is no longer rotation. This is a player effectively removed from the hierarchy, sitting behind options many supporters openly question. For a club that speaks about promotion, standards, and long-term ambition, the idea that one of its most reliable defenders is now a fourth-choice option feels less like a plan and more like a situation no one can clearly explain. That uncertainty deepens when you look at the players ahead of him. Chris Davies has relied heavily on Jack Robinson and Jonathan Panzo, players who, according to analysts such as Jason Moore, have not consistently reached the required level. And this is not a one-off decision, it has become a pattern. Back in October, Neumann was also left out and publicly told to remain patient in an interview with BBC Radio WM. Now it is happening again. But this time the patience appears to be fading, both from the player and those around him. When results fail to improve and selections remain unchanged, attention naturally shifts to the manager. Is this commitment to a system or stubbornness that risks unsettling the squad? And how long can these decisions continue when they do not align with performances on the pitch? At the centre of this situation is Neumann, a former FC Schalke 04 defender who, in less than a year, has gone from first-choice starter to being completely sidelined. While Birmingham hesitate, interest is growing elsewhere. According to Italian journalist Maurizio Russo, US Sassuolo Calcio made an approach during the winter window and remain attentive to his situation. This shifts the context entirely. It is no longer just about selection, it is about managing a valuable asset. Birmingham risk losing a defender with proven impact, not through injury or decline, but through lack of use. Financially, that is risky. From a sporting perspective, it is even more damaging. Allowing a player of that level to drift towards an exit without maximizing his contribution could become one of the club's most avoidable mistakes of the season. This is where the real tension becomes clear. The situation is no longer only about Neumann. It is about what happens next with Davies. Within the club and among supporters, a clear divide is forming. If Davies fails to secure a top-6 finish and departs, there is a belief that Neumann could return to a central role and rebuild his place in the team. But if the board continues to back the manager, the outcome feels predictable. Neumann leaves, likely to Italy, perhaps to Sassuolo, or another club willing to offer him consistent minutes. Birmingham would then be left explaining why a player linked to better results became expendable in favour of a system that failed to deliver. It becomes a fundamental choice. Keep the manager and lose the player, or keep the player and reconsider the manager. At this moment, it feels as though there is not room for both at St Andrews. So the question is unavoidable. If you had to decide today, what matters more? Do you support Chris Davies and accept that Phil Neumann may leave this summer? Or do you reset, restore the defender to the starting lineup and acknowledge that the current direction has not worked? Because keeping a player with that level of impact as a fourth-choice option is not just unusual, it is extremely difficult to justify, and time is running out.